It doesn't end. This just turned into an absolute nightmare.
Touched it.
Nothing else. It cracked. What is shaking, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Meandering Outdoors. Still working on this van. Sun's been out, which has been awesome. We got back from Grandma's service and everything, which was actually very, very nice and so awesome to see all my family again. Having everybody in one place. It's been a very long time. Had such an amazing time. And on the way down to the service, I caught a nice shot. It had been super foggy down in the valley. It's always foggy down there, but super foggy as of late. And I guess there was a little bit of a system that came through, dropped a little rain, and I got such an amazing sunrise shot cruising down the highway that I'll plug in here. So that system came through and just made it the most amazing, beautiful day. But yeah, so back to this fiasco. It's been a little slow going, waiting on things that I've ordered. I didn't do a whole bunch of filming just because some of the stuff is just tedious, small things. It gets really boring. It's boring for me, so I might do quick little snippets so you can kind of see, because it's, like I said, it's just boring. I don't want to bore you all to death. I know it could be pretty boring already anyway, but alright, I'll show you a little bit of what I've been up to. Just an absolute nightmare in here. Totally wiped out. Been chasing the leak and stuff since I got the good weather and everything. I kind of put a halt to doing some of the stuff inside, but I did jump up and start getting, if you remember, there was that black trim piece that went all the way around. Got that off. It was all dry and brittle. That took like 40 minutes, kept breaking off into pieces. Started with a wire wheel going around to outside rust spots, trying to get where I knew the leaks were. I got ahead of myself and totally forgot to start filming and was kind of just unraveling from the trip and everything down there. But I got this all wire wheeled, found some massive bunch of the gutter was gone here, all through there. I got it cleaned up. I got it sprayed with some metal etch primer, and I used this fancy product here for like a charm. It's just this 2-part putty that comes in a tube. You break it apart, start mashing it together, kneading it together like dough till it turns a consistent color. Filled those gaps, and it's supposed to harden like steel. Well, I did that yesterday evening actually. Sprayed it before I went in for the evening, came out today, and it is hard as a rock. Awesome. It did the job. We don't need anything fancy. If I was doing a real restoration, obviously we'd cut all that out and rebend metal and put in a new section there, but not too worried about it. We're gonna, like I said, this thing's an adventure wagon. We're going out and about. Those of you that have been watching us for a while, you know some of the roads I go down. Even in our little van mini, she shouldn't be there. This will get us there, and I'll probably end up taking it into spots I'm probably not really supposed to have it, but if it's capable, it's capable. I also went ahead and took the trim pieces for the windows, got those all cleaned up really nice, and then got them painted a nice black. I think it's called Canyon Black. It's just Rust-Oleum. I pretty much use Rust-Oleum for everything. It's a good paint, and it seems to uphold for the long term. Sorry, checking the dogs. Like I said, they're doing that mastication work still around behind my house, and they're doing some maintenance on the machine or something, so I figured I'd get out here and do a little bit of filming while I could before it gets super loud. hopefully they'll be out of here soon. I've already had a window broken, and yeah, it's been a nightmare. But anyway, back to this stuff. And that stuff is sandable, which is nice, so you can blend it in. This is the corner over by the door where we had the major leak that was filling up the inside cab there. Like there was a complete crack, completely open, not filled with any kind of caulking whatsoever. So we'll get that fixed, and then we should be in good shape and we can get to rocking and rolling on the inside. They just started the machine back up. It might get loud. I'll see how this goes. If it's too much, I'll just kind of fill in later. But I would say I got some products in, so I got some of the noise deadening material there, so I can start putting that out in some spots, get these wheel wells covered up and everything. And then we also went down and that one right there. Went down just to the local Home Depot. Well, local for us is about an hour away. But the aromatic Eastern Cedar shiplap, I decided to go with this stuff. We like the log cabin look. The smell, obviously, it keeps mildew and insects away. But it's a 1/4 inch thick, or just slightly over 1/4 inch, like 5/16 or something like that. Which is fantastic because it's going to help preserve that height. That's what I want to stick with. I still have to be a little bit hunched over in there, but that's okay. I don't mind that. I don't have to stand up perfectly straight, as long as I can actually stand up and kind of move around. But yeah, that stuff is going to go crossways on the ceiling there. Since having the metal rack in the way it was, and for the front piece up there over the cargo section on the cab, I'm just gonna run it side to side. I think it'll help make it not seem so cavey and quite so small in here, but then I can also glue that stuff onto that door skin that's already there and not have to really worry about fighting the curve. And I don't want to do that. Simple. We want to keep it simple. And still waiting on parts and stuff. I figured while I wait for paint to dry, always waiting on paint to dry. I swear that takes the longest out of everything, other than the planning and replanning and replanning. But I'm going to take some of the old 1x from the old bed slats, and I think I'm going to start kind of doing a little bit of a layout on how I want to get the walls framed in. That way I'll be able to case out the windows. Okay, now is back to putting everything together in here. See if it's going to work out. We'll see.
A few moments later.
Always getting sidetracked. Had to break off from the wall. I was starting to get into that a little bit and look down. I was like, oh, that's right. I haven't cleaned around the AC unit in the rear of the van yet. And it was potentially leaking Freon. There was something going on with it, which I think is coming out of these fittings right back here. Get this box pulled out and see what's going on. Fingers crossed. Oh, guess break's over and the maintenance is done. Back to the noise. It doesn't end. This just turned into an absolute nightmare. Oh, where to begin? Okay. Well, I gotten both of these clamps on this side undone, and it looked like that first hose there on the back side of it, I don't think I'll be able to see with this lighting, but it's completely split. It's ruptured, so okay. That's probably a good place to start. I went underneath the van to look right down under here through this hole. A couple hoses that run up right there and connect to the bottom of that thing. I touched it. That's it. Touched it. Nothing else. It cracked, and this oily like substance started dripping out. Yay. Quick impromptu catch. Old milk jug. But yeah, those hoses, and you can see there's lots of rust I'm going to be dealing with. Most of it's all surface. Not that big a deal. Looks way worse than it is. But there's the two hoses going up. So now to go and trace those all the way back, which I'm sure if it's that bad there, got to replace the entire thing. They're shot, so yeah. I'm thinking we may be in need of a trip, or maybe a live Q&A. I still owe one of those, and we're almost to 50 subscribers now, which is awesome. Thank you all so much. That's a highlight. That puts a smile on my face, unlike that thing. But yeah, maybe I'll do a live here. I'll think about it. I'll try to plug it in somewhere in this video on my decision. Maybe I already did it. Maybe I'll do it in a little bit. I don't know. My brain's scrambled. All right, well, we're out here. It's the next morning. After dealing with that whole air conditioning unit thing, I decided to call it an afternoon and get some other stuff done and get ready for some dinner. Now I've been out here fresh-minded, thought about it last night, started looking into stuff. We don't really need the rear AC unit. We're putting in a diesel heater anyway, so I'm ripping the thing out. I traced all those lines back. I just pulled the line and draining whatever fluid out of the radiator. I think it was more water than anything, and we'll have to go through that and flush it out anyway, or was going to. So all these hoses that were all spliced together too, all funky with like silly stupid little like irrigation barbs. But yeah, it goes under there. Woo! Oh, you can kind of see. Let me get some light on that, see if that helps. But it all goes into that junction, so I'm thinking I can just pop all those hoses and cap everything right there. That's the plan anyway. We'll see how that goes. I would imagine it'd be fine. Put some kind of seal on there, whether maybe some RTV gasket or just Teflon. Probably RTV gasket, but yeah, run down to the hardware store once I get those pulled, see if I can get some caps, cap that off so the system's still closed. We'll see. Ooh, that noise you just heard was those guys that are masticating down there. He just backed one truck up into another. Somebody's not gonna be happy. Okay, well, I've now found the two lines that cruise up that go into the heater core to run the heater. They pop up right here, removed to the doghouse to get in here. They cruise up right in there, and where they clamp in back there, I think I can, these hoses up front are in good condition, so I'm gonna cut one of them and hopefully make a loop with no kinks and just clamp it back on to bypass that. If that doesn't work, I have to go to the auto store, and they do make a U-shaped hose that is preformed that we can put on there. So that'll delete that part. Finding the spot for the Freon is being a little bit difficult. I believe it goes right in front of those, and I can put a delete cap under the hood. Hey honey, let's get a used Econoline to fix up and go all over the place and travel. Mini's too small for us. The things that go through my brain. Oh, yeah. It'll be fun when it's done. All right, well, that's all finally ripped out, taken care of. I had to go ahead and order the piece of hose for the heater core bypass. I tried doing a couple different things with the hose that was on there, and it just kinks. So that's not gonna work. And the pulling off those other hoses underneath there and capping, those are seized on there, so that's not promising. No big deal though. Got online right quick and ordered those parts up. I think it in total for the hose and the deletion caps for the AC was like, I think $45, something like that. Not too terribly bad. Just gotta wait for the parts to come in. But speaking of parts, I just got a notification that stuff was delivered, so now I got all those little tidbits to deal with and see if I can't get that stuff installed. I definitely need to get all that trim piece put back on, paint what I can, and then seal everything before the next rain. But right now it's looking pretty good. We got our January fall spring going on, so super pleasant, which I am so grateful for. Get out here and get some stuff done and not worry about those leaks. And there's my pile of hoses that came out. I still got one hanging out over here. I got to get that cut and then start ripping all that hard line and everything out. But I'm gonna wait till I get those deletion caps so that I don't get any contaminants inside that system over there. But like I was saying, you think they have enough? I think they could have put a couple more splices in here, like just random crazy stuff, like I said, some irrigation barbed coupling there, some other type of weird plastic coupling over on this side, and then over here the handy dandy piece of copper pipe. Hey, if it works, it works, right? But I'm used to doing some rednecky kind of stuff, but that kind of thing is usually a band-aid, and then you do the correct fix when you can. That's like being stuck out in the middle of nowhere type of fix. You know what I'm saying? First ever Q&A. Let's get it. All right, well, time got away from me. I've just been plugging along, doing all kinds of random little things while I wait for parts and try to source parts for other stuff. As you can see up behind me though, I got that roll of insulation came in. I decided instead of using it on the floor, it's sticky on one side, so I used it to do the roof. The ceiling there, it stuck to the fiberglass perfectly. I'll get some good insulation there, and then I think I'm just going to use Reflectix. Oh, I got something in my eye. Piece of Reflectix on the floor, and then just plywood, and then whatever flooring we decide to go with. Not really too concerned about too much insulation. I think the Reflectix is going to work just fine for us. We're not going to get into super cold weather for long periods of time, and even if we do, we'll have the diesel heater and plenty of blankets. We're used to cold weather, dealing with cold weather and sleeping in tents and stuff, so should be just fine. Yeah, I'll have to get another roll of that though. End up being 2 rolls to finish out the lid. And then I've been continuing on with getting all the rust spots and everything taken care of, cleaned up where the AC unit used to be right over here. We'll plug the diesel heater into that spot, which opens up a little more storage under the bed slash benches there. Oh, and the Sikaflex came in. So I got all the way around the outside, resealed, and that's all dry now, and we'll see when it rains if we have a leak. Hopefully not. I really don't think so. Hopefully we'll be able to start the inside build here shortly after we get all these little tidbits that are just so annoying to get done, but it's all got to happen because once the interior goes in here, I don't want to have to deal with it. So, all right, y'all. With that being said, you know how it rolls. The woods are for meandering. Thanks for tuning in, folks. Appreciate you, and until the next one, we'll see you later.